Hello friends, Bon here, coming to you tonight from my little den of scrappiness, a place I call Tootie Beeble Bug Creations. I'm here to share with you a swap from over at yourpaperpantry.ning.com that I'm in, and it was a handmade flower swap with a button topper and a Valentine theme. This swap is hosted by Roxy, who is Roxy Fur here on YouTube, I believe. Hi Roxy, if you're watching. The requirements of the swap were to create 3 sets of 5 flowers, to make sure that they had a Valentine theme, and to make sure that they all included a button. So with that in mind, here are my creations. The very first one was a monster to create simply because recently my husband and I had been up at Michael's, which is where we go, where he takes me every time he takes me on a date night. So we were up there and I came across the most beautiful rosette type themed Valentine rosette flowers, I guess that's the best way to say it. And they were made by K & Company, and it was the Circus Valentine collection, and I think they called them their Grand Adhesions, and I just fell in love. I have been wanting to create rosettes since July, when I bought some 4th of July themed rosettes for a firecracker explosion mini that I had made. But, I go to Michael's, and unless there is a huge sale and I have this great coupon on my iPhone app or whatever, I just really can't afford it. So I went ahead and I told my husband, I'm going to buy one package and I am going to recreate these flowers, or at least try to. I think I did pretty good, but what I did was I brought it home. I took a picture of the actual flower that I wanted to recreate, and I made sure, or as close as I could, make sure to use the same paper, of course the same paper line, the same style, and all of that. So let me share those first. Here it is. What was the monster about it, though? What I wanted to say was the monster about it was just I don't have punches or those little shearing scissors that take and cut the edges and all of that. So I had to cut all of those little. I had to make all of those little cuts, and I think that's why it was frustrating. It was really simple once I put everything together, but the frustration was simply making those tiny little cuts in the paper. And so here's my first share. Okay. And the next one I would like to share is I'm already chuckling in my head. This is the next flower that I would like to share. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and move this calendar because it's kind of distracting. Anyway, might just be me, whatever. Anyway, I'm chuckling about this little flower simply because when my husband, every night when he comes home from work, he comes into my scrap room and he kind of, I guess he gets excited knowing that he's going to come and see a new creation. And he came in and he looked at all of them and he made his compliments and comments, and then he said, "That is the cutest little strawberry shortcake flower." I just had to chuckle inside because he had named one of my flowers, and I thought it was just the sweetest thing. Now, he's pretty used to strawberry shortcake because we have 2 beautiful granddaughters and they love strawberry shortcake. So here, my friends, is my strawberry shortcake flower, compliments of my husband. And this flower can be found in the Forever Young Cricut cartridge. Not exactly like this, but the shape, the die cut, the shape for it, okay, can be found in the Forever Young cartridge. It's flower number 1, and it can be found on page 64 on page 64. So this is my second flower share, the strawberry shortcake flower. My next flower share is one that I really liked, I think, because I like these colors together. And oh, and I think I forgot to mention that the other object or requirement of the swap was that we used only reds, pinks, whites, creams, and chocolate brown. So here we are. I have pretty much put those colors together, and this flower can be found also in the Forever Young cartridge on page 69, and it's called flower number 6. And all I did was just I cut more petals and added more layers, and that's just because I wanted it to look like a real flower, fluffy and vibrant and not flat. I don't mind a flat flower, but I kind of really like everything to have dimension. I don't even like flat stickers. It just it doesn't work for me. So anyways, this is my third flower share. Okay, and the next one is this one. Now see, this is a little flat, and I'll tell you right now, it probably isn't one of my favorites, but I thought if somebody wanted to use something simple and nice, this would fit the bill. So this one came from the same cartridge, Forever Young, and it's called Flower Number 8, and it can be found on page 71. Now the funny thing about this Forever Young cartridge, okay, or this Forever Young cartridge handbook or whatever you want to call them, is they didn't give the flowers pretty names. They just gave them a number, flower number 1, flower number 8, all the way through 10. There's like 10 pages of flowers in this cart. So this is flower number 8, and I included an old vintage button. I think I forgot to mention the buttons in the previous ones. So this button came from my stash. It was an old vintage button, and probably of my grand's. I'm not certain. And this button here is also an old vintage button from the stash, and then I kind of just aged the buttons a bit by putting a little bit of the Tim Holtz vintage photo distress ink on them. And then this is just an old red button from my stash. And then this one is the cutest little acrylic or glass flower shaped button, and I found it at Walmart of all places. So okay, now that you know about a little more about the buttons, I can go on. This was my fourth one, and my fifth and final flower share is this one. Now the secret to this one is that I used a six petal flower shape from the Forever Young cartridge, but I just used the shape of it. I didn't make that flower. So it's not flower number 10 from the cartridge, but it is the 6-petal shaped flower that can be found on page number 73. Now let me tell you what I did. Once I had three of the 6-petal shaped cuts made, I do believe they were 2 inches. Then what I did was go about, on the first one I just cut a slit, and then on the second one I cut 1 petal out, and then on the third one I cut 2 petal sections out. And that made this shape that made this shape of these flowers. And in the very center, you can't see it because we were required to add this button, but what I did was take a 2-inch by 2-inch square, and I cut a swirl, and I basically rolled the swirl rolled the swirl up with this tool, which is like a quilling tool or whatever. One side is an embosser, one side is a quilling tool. So it's better probably for me if I just did a video tutorial for you and I showed you how I created this flower. Now this flower, like I said, to me when it was finished, it was so gorgeous. It looked like a rose. It totally looked like a rose, and I was so proud of it. But as I said, I had to add the button touch because that was one of the requirements. So I went ahead and added a beautiful ruby colored old vintage button. And if I hadn't done that, you would have seen the perfect swirl of a rose. So if you're interested, leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know if you'd like me to do tutorial. If you'd like me to do a tutorial on these. I had been wanting to create my version of a handmade rose, and I think I have like found my niche, because if these ruby shaped buttons weren't in the center, you would see a beautiful rose, perfect rose. So, and it's just a little bit of like folding and, like I said, cutting that swirl from a square piece of pattern paper. I can show you all that. Let me do that. Let me show it to you. Let me show you how to do it. So maybe in one of the days to come here real quick, I'll be able to show you how to make this particular handmade flower. But anyway, moving on. For the ladies over at Your Paper Pantry, I wanted to let you know that I went ahead and what I did was I put some of the foam dots behind each of the flowers, and because I did that, I needed to be able to put plastic so that they had something to stick to, so that then again they would stick to the project that you're creating. So there are two pieces of plastic, and in between the two pieces of plastic is a beautiful floral pattern paper from the lovely collection of the authentic Valentine paper. And I just thought it added a nice touch, and because this is a flower swap and it's a Valentine themed flower swap, I thought this would be perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this into this bag. Sorry for the glare. I believe that's called a glassine bag, right, friends? And then I'm going to add a little topper and a tag, and include my information so that folks will be able to know where to find me if they're interested in anything that I create, and of course just to share. But anyways, this is how they're going to look before they're all packaged up. And I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I shared these with you before they went on their way to Roxy. So I guess I'm finished for tonight. It gets late and I start rambling. So until next time, friends, try your hand at these. I hope I inspired you. Remember to stop and enjoy the small, simple pleasures in life. I'll be back, like I said, to share the flower tutorial, and I have some other stuff up my sleeve. And now that I'm feeling better, I'm on a roll, so I'll be back. Until next time, my friends, be blessed. Toodles!